Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Terry at Holding Your Space, and this is Jon Binnie.
Hello. Hi, how you doing? Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah. Well, I hope you had a happy day with your family,
That's right.
celebrating the divine feminine. So there we go. And your wife, of course.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we don't celebrate it the same day, but
That's right.
yeah, you're absolutely right. Like the divine feminines in all of us, and what a great day to acknowledge every mother in the world and the mother within each of us also.
Yeah. Yeah. So beautiful. Um, yeah. So I wanted to introduce Jon, and I just got to a different side on my phone. So let me find it real quick. But I can just talk about you from heart. So, from my heart in particular. So, because Jon, you have just been an amazing mentor, and we've so enjoyed, or I've so enjoyed, being a part of your group, your membership group. So that's been huge. Jon came about a few months ago, I guess. You sent me an email and said, I think you're going to like this. And it was when you were first starting that membership of going in and doing the what was the name of it? Golly, the first club that you did or membership. And
The the first training course, the higher self foundational training.
thank you. Thank you. That's it exactly. And I was like, wow, I was just thinking I needed something to kind of bump things up and feel a little bit lighter and open up my horizons. So, and I think anybody can always go to somebody and change things up a little bit. That we all need that to a refresher course or whatever it is, or if you're just starting from the very beginning. Jon has amazing free meditations on his channel and whatnot, and you've got it all. So it's pretty amazing.
Thank you. And I loved that. Do you remember the sequence, which was you invited me on this show right now, and I was setting up the first time I'd run that 8-week course for the higher self foundational training. And I just remember thinking, I wonder who else would be interested. This would be the first time I'd run it. And I was thinking, I know Terry would be perfect because I'm even coming on your show. And then I was thinking, wouldn't that be amazing if the kind of future versions of us would be doing this right now? Like that we'd actually be on taking you through the training course, and then I get to be your guest, and it just feels like a beautiful circle of events. So thank you for that, and it was an honor to have you on the training course, and then also in my membership group. Like you just bring such a beautiful, calm, and such unconditional love to the space. You're such a powerful, gifted soul. So I'm very grateful for you. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. I mean, it's been a joy, a real joy. And thanks everybody for being here today on Mother's Day and joining us. And happy Mother's Day to everybody out there, because I know that there's a lot of you that are moms of dogs or plants or children. And in other lifetimes, you've been moms and fathers. So it's all good. But I'm so glad to have you all here. And everybody's so excited. They're all saying, hi, Jon. With love from Scotland. We love that.
Oh, thank you, everyone. I can't see the chat, unfortunately. I'm just on my phone, but yeah, thank you so much for coming along, everyone.
Yeah, yeah. So you've got some big changes going on in your life right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start. It's like everything all at once. It's so exciting. One of the biggest changes has been just building up the courage to finally take that leap. So I left my corporate job after 26 years in software engineering and artificial intelligence development. I was 3 days for the last 2 years, if you wondered how I managed to squeeze everything in. And then I took the opportunity to leave just a couple of weeks ago. So I said goodbye to that old life. I was in a big globally well-known corporate for the last 8 years, and I wanted to and have gone full-time Jon Binnie. So I'm now doing all these things that we'll no doubt be discussing in a bit more detail. But yeah, I'm just building my own business now and following my own mission of helping billions of souls around the planet on their awakening journeys. So it's just it's just living that dream come true.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And you're traveling now too, quite a bit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've got it's somewhere between a world tour and a staycation where I'm like going away for days and coming back and going away for days and coming back. Because I'm also studying clinical reflexology, the foot massage, and that's just completing in over the next month. It's like a year-long diploma, and I'm also volunteering 1 day a week at a hospice doing clinical reflexology. So it's like traveling and coming back for these things, and of course seeing my family. But yeah, all part of kind of just readjusting myself to this new life, saying goodbye to the old me and exploring a bit more about the new me and embracing the future.
Yeah, yeah. It's so that's so important to that giving back, that seva, and helping others. I mean, you're helping others anyway with spiritual work, but I love that physical component of it that you've got going on now. So
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's if I wasn't doing how to describe it, you know, when you get like when the universe says like, hey, try this thing, and it's like, hey, try this thing, and like, hey, try this thing, and my little human brain's like, I don't know that like they feel like they're maybe like the same kind of meals, or like different meals in the same menu, but I don't know how they go together yet. But I know, for example, with the foot massage reflexology, is that which I love being hands on, because otherwise I'd be very easily just stuck in my music studio here, like 24/7, doing spiritual work for people, and starting to see some of those crossovers as well. Like I start to, for those that give me consent, I can also do a bit more, do an energy scan with reflexology if that's what someone's interested in, or if they just want normal reflexology, that's also super magical. But I love that I'm just being guided to experience some of these different modalities, and then over time just explore them a bit more in their interconnectedness.
I love that, and also that you're doing so much. Like it seems like for a lot of us that we've had kind of a time jump lately. Like dimensions are switching, and we're kind of jumped ahead. And you jumped ahead on this, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, I think for quite a lot of us, we're seeing the merging of timelines. It's a pretty complex universe, right? When you try and disappear down all the different rabbit holes of the kind of timelines of you in the past, parallel, present, future timelines, versions of you, and the different personalities that each of us have in these different timelines or lifetimes. And it's funny, when I get a little bit lost or whatever, and I'm kind of preambling some of the things I'm about to say, which is every time we get a little bit lost, a little bit confused, you do remember that you're just one soul, and that it's okay, like you're really just one. And your soul has this incredible ability to explore and to incarnate and experience these different lifetimes and different timelines all at the same time, and that's really magical, right? It's like it's a beautiful gift. Equally, it can get, as we start to describe these things, and I don't just mean our conversation, but any other conversations that are going on, sometimes it's easy to get a little bit lost in space and time, and just coming back to our hearts and knowing where home feels like. But yeah, I do know for certainly my journey this year, and a lot happened last year as well, when I was going through some bigger challenges last year, and then this year going into I stepped out of last year's fear and this year's highest timeline, like the version of me I've always dreamed of being. I have practiced many times in my own meditations, like I want to be that version of Jon. I want to wake up one morning and feel like I'm the one that I could run my own business. People run their own businesses, Jon. Why couldn't you run a business of just you? Like, I don't need to look after an army of 100 people. I just need to look after me and my family. Like, I'm sure I could I could do that, right? And yeah, I also, we were chatting briefly, Terry, just before, and in a lot of the client sessions I do, there's a lot we also go back to in either earlier in our own lifetimes, like looking a bit more at our childhoods or our inner childs and how that's manifesting right now. And in many respects, very similar to the patterns that happened to us prior to this life. So I do a lot of past life regression work with people where I go back with them to those previous lives to find those patterns that need healing. And so if you look at my journey, for example, my biggest healing has been overcoming lack. And of course, how do you become so incredibly brave that you can overcome your lack? Well, it's this practice of really like spending like your last dime or cents or a pound, like whatever, or euro, wherever you are in the world. It's like that. Like you take that last thing you have and you say, I can do it. I can do it without this. And because it's all about me. I am the abundance I need. And that was a big thing for me in this leap I've just taken, leaving my corporate job. But it also echoed through previous lifetimes. And I can remember lifetimes that go back to, it's been a pattern for thousands of years for me, going back to ancient Egypt, where even then there was lifetimes of being like a very like famous performer, and yet always feeling in lack, feeling like it was never enough, because lack isn't a monetary value or the amount of food you have or land or people or love. It's a feeling, right? And so that healing pattern for me has come over lifetime after lifetime, making some progress until now I'm like, this is it, Jon. You're the version of Jon. Jon can do this. And yeah, a lot of it was that was like facing those past lives, and I saw in past lives in like Lemuria, Atlantis, and happened in this lifetime in my childhood of like my parents, leaving, or one of my parents leaving, like that kind of fear of abandonment as well. And it was never really about them, of course. It was about me. It was like how I felt myself, and that fear of lack of love or lack of money or food or like all these things. And so when I've gone back in meditation or and often it's in waking moments as well, whenever these feelings are coming up, like I just dive into a bit more detail, like what is it, how did I make that about myself? Like that didn't need to be what others do to you, or the experiences that you have don't need to mean something to you unless you make them. And it's often what we do to ourselves that creates the trauma of the event. And I could see each time it was like the universe saying, Jon, here's another opportunity. It's another great. It's another opportunity of lack. And it's like, yeah. It's like literally like you need to face it.
Do you feel like? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you. I feel like a lot of us might go back to that time and see that lifetime and heal that lifetime, but you really have to be open through meditation for it to acclimate, don't you think?
Yeah. When I take clients back in my sessions, and I do a few different ones. The most popular is I call it the quantum healing session, and it's like an hour and 30 minutes. Once we set up a safe space, within about 25 minutes, I'll be talking to my client spirit guides, and we'll say, okay, where's the biggest healing in space and time that we can do for the client today? And then we'll go to that lifetime. So it can be, most of the time we travel through a portal. So I'll set one up with the guide, like the guide that steps forward for the client. And often the guide themselves has probably shared that lifetime that we're going to visit with the client. So for example, I'm trying to think of one of the more recent ones. like a Lemurian guide would step forwards for my client's Lemurian past life, and they'd often have like quite similar gifts, and it's for good reason, right? It's like we're going to go back to that past life with someone that's already been in that past life with you, and also shared similar abilities, or at least known how your ability works. And what we then do is really work through that that experience. So I take the client, we all travel together, like there's no soul left behind, so we all get to go through space and time together and experience that past life, like what they're doing, what they're wearing, who they're with, what was their job, what was the trauma that happened, what was their biggest lesson that they needed to heal at that time. And like many of our shadows, right, just seeing it, just being there and witnessing it, like it's almost like it's being called out to you across space and time. It's like, witness me. Just, you know, it's such a human thing as well. If you can see someone suffering, it is so powerful for the person that's suffering to know that you saw them, because in that moment, you know, having another consciousness, having another heart witness you gives, how to say, like at least validation that it happened. At least it's validation that this was real. And then what we'll do is we'll work together on, okay, like what was the bigger context? So what was really going on? And I'd say most of the time, there's actually a really big event happening that either the person themselves, the client in that past life, wasn't fully aware of, or even the soul. And often someone's soul isn't aware of it when source has given them a mission, often related to karma. So what the person may be experiencing in the past life, for example, a client who had a very often clients have very powerful gifts, and they'll use them in anger. Maybe they're under attack from their their whole family's under attack, or their planet, or they're going through some traumatic experience, and they'll use their psychic abilities. So, and I remember a client from within a Lemurian past life where they had this ability to like create these very huge, like these massive resonant waves underwater that would either kind of stun large groups, like armies of beings, or if it was super concentrated, could injure or kill them. And when they did that, use that gift in anger, they felt really, really bad. They felt like they could never trust themselves again. And in that moment, suddenly it's like the soul feels like, oh, I can no longer trust this gift. And these gifts are things that we develop, lifetime after lifetime, like we're going to the gym, every day, like we're building the muscles of those psychic abilities. And when that happens in those past lives, the soul can lose trust with itself, right? And say, look, I don't want to grow that gift anymore. In fact, that part of me that executed that gift, I don't want to be here anymore. And can even like fragment it off. So it doesn't happen all the time, but maybe 10-15% of my of the 3 or so 100 sessions I've done for clients, they've been at what are called soul fragmentations, and this is where the client's soul can fragment off part of the soul and send it to often a dark place. Usually that is like the underworld. It can be hell, and the various different levels of it. And it's almost like the soul never wants to be in contact with that part of itself again. And there's also like the infinite void, which is I describe it as a universe of one. It's like this realm of just you. And I mean, the good news is, like, from both these places, you can be saved. And that's what I also specialize in, is like, so whether someone has gone through a soul fragmentation or not, once we bring the person's fragment, like I go with the client and go to that place with them, and I bring in my guides and a couple of angels always. Once we bring them back together, I'll get the client to really sit closely with that past life, including that any fragments, and witness them, and then begin the healing. And it can be a conversation. It can be understanding once the story's been told to both of us, understanding that and reflecting on it. And then I'll also, typically what I would do is bring both the past life and the present version of the client together, like to get them face to face, and then begin this merging integration process. So we'll bring them back to a safe space, and then I work through each chakra and join them back up. It's like stitching them back together and then merge them together. And this is energetically just very, very healing, because it allows like the closure of that cycle, of that open wound, that pattern that's been often repeated time and time again. So if you feel these things, right, if you feel in this lifetime like, you're going to certain places, even where you live, or if you're going to like sacred sites, or old buildings, or places you feel like you've lived before, and you feel like there's unfinished business, you feel like you might remember being there before, but there's something like calling you. It's like, what is it? Or where you see these patterns that create huge fear in this lifetime. And for those of us that have experienced, I'd call them like witch wounds, and I've certainly had a lot of those from quite recent past lives, is sometimes you have this inexplicable fear of doing something. Like I used to be terrified of speaking light language or dragon light language, and it was just like, it's so hard to do. What's going to happen? Like the neighbor's going to turn up with pitchforks and like, drag me off to the tree or to a burning fire again. It's like, no. It's like, it's really not that bad anymore. And even when your logical mind steps in, you're like, but why do I feel like that? So yeah, going back to these past lives can help us, both kind of mentally, but also some patterns come through physically as well. So you might feel blockages in certain chakras or parts of your body. Some people have like very quite acute like aches and pains that they just don't understand. It's like, I feel like I've had an injury, and they're often here in the throat chakra. We've been told so many times to stop talking about our witchcraft or whatever, and also in the stomach and the solar plexus. And these were places that in the example of witch hunts, for example, that we would have been attacked. And so bringing like that love back to these moments, back to these experiences, and helping heal can really help you hugely in this lifetime, and of course your soul over time.
I love this idea of merging those fractals at the chakra level. I think that's huge. I haven't heard of anybody else doing that. I really love that. And interweaving them with energy. That's amazing. When you talk about that realm, sometimes I see this space I call the abyss, which sounds pretty naughty, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I think it might be pure consciousness. What do you think that realm is that's just you?
It could be, I describe it as everything and nothing all at once.
Yeah.
And when I first encountered it, it was in a soul fragmentation for a client, and I was quite early on in the work, my first maybe 20 sessions. And I remember talking to Archangel Michael, and it's like, all right, so are we going to hell to get this soul fragment? It's like, no, we're not going there. We're going to the infinite void. And I'm like, what's that? When we went in the same place, usually I would travel in this elevator to choose the level within hell, and it was different. It was like a kind of sidestep into the void. And I remember when I entered the void with the client, they were shocked at their past life was shocked, like their fragment was shocked at the fact that I was there, because suddenly it's like it's a universe of two, not one. And actually it was more than that, because my client's present life, and then we had a couple of guides and angels with us, and suddenly the way they described it was, my client said, it's like suddenly I saw a light, like one star in a totally dark night. And that dark night had been for eons, it feels like eternity.
Wow.
And that light is actually your own light. It's like the reflection of the little golden divine spark in the center of your heart, just like the backdrop I can see on your StreamYard. And that little golden light, it's like you're saying to yourself, I found myself again, to your point about the abyss and like consciousness. It's like I found my light again, and it's that light that I'll lead the client to, and that's where they help find themselves, and then that's when we can bring them together and begin the reintegration.
Wow, that's so powerful. So everybody wants to talk about dragons.
Yeah.
Over here. which is huge, and they all love the dragon speak. And I do a light language that's rock people, but it sounds like dragon speak, but or I call it dragon speak. What do you call it? Just dragon language.
Yeah, dragon light language. Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting, you guys. When we do one of these. In the membership, when I was in it, or rather what was it called? Oh, whatever. Sorry, my brain can't always use words, but can always send the information.
Yeah, the higher self foundational training.
Thank you. The higher self foundational training. You did take us to a space where we could see like 8 guides or more, which was great. And we traveled all together. And I love that you said no man left behind, or no person left behind, no soul left behind. We all went in formation, but it was a beautiful thing. And it was all sorts of different types, like dragons, Lemurians, just light beings from the 14th realm, and really interesting group of characters that came in. And I love that. Do you feel like dragons are like shapeshifters?
Well, first of all, just thank you for sharing the experiences of that session. We were bringing 8 guides. Yeah, it's like, and I just finished the second run of the training course. So within, I think it's week 6, that everyone does, and it's something I did a few years ago, where I just asked my spirit guides to do a lineup. It's like the kind of Hollywood lineup where it's just like, hey, you're all like waiting to go in the premiere or whatever, and it's just like, why don't you all line up one at a time and we'll do introductions. And it's just astounding to see, including with you, Terry, like that people can go from, prior to that session, and it's just a 1-hour session, prior to that, like literally 1 hour before, maybe having never spoken to any of their guides or not knowing any of their names or any of their details, to then, and literally, and I'm sat there thinking, well, what do? I just like turn up and say, hey everybody, let's get started, set up a safe space, let's meet our guides. And then that's kind of it, right? And we just go through each one. And I keep asking, I was like, why is that so magical? Why, like, what is it that I do that helps people accelerate those introductions and those connections with our guides? And when I was asking my guides about it, they said it's just really simple. It's just like being able to like create that space and create, for many, the belief, right? The belief that it's possible, that you can do it. And when you're in a group, it's also, and we share a little bit at the end, right? Like how, who did you meet? Like who stood out the most? And it's incredible to see that, that you're not alone, like, because so much of our journeys feels like a lone wolf. And actually a lot of us are going through these similar experiences, or have similar like desires that we want to connect, have these deep connections, like, and we just ask like, what's your guide's name, where are they from, what they look like, what are their superpowers, why are they here with you in this lifetime, what will you do together? So yeah, sorry, I'll come on and answer your question, dragons and shapeshifters. So maybe I don't know if I explained this to you, Terry, but certainly everyone on live and replay, this may be helpful, but I was shown that after the universe was first created, this universe was created, angels came first, and angels were very high vibration, and they sit on the frequency range, most of them, now not all of them, right, but most of them sit around just below the mid, like let's say about 40. If 0% on a scale was like the darkest and 100% was the lightest, they're kind of like the 40 to 100% range. And one of the challenges is that Source was like, no, I need beings I need a balancing effect. I need broader frequency range. And so they created, so Source started creating dragons, and dragons have this overlap with angels. So there's like somewhere between 0 and all the way up to above 40, like your 60, 70%. I don't think there's any real upper limit for dragons, but there's this ability to go into the lower range as well. And that caused, like, initially lots of battles and wars, and there's like, this part of us. And when I use the terms angels and dragons here, right, like these are like the rudimentary elemental versions of what we would probably consider to be angels and dragons today. Or perhaps you could also describe it as the darkness and light in you, but neither are exclusively light or dark, and all are both. And at the heart of what's going on in the universe at this time is that there's a huge amount of interest in planet Earth. Why? Because this whole universe is ascending, and it's ascending at the very heart of its planet Earth, because us, you and I, all of us, our human bodies, our DNA has this magical capability to hold such a broad frequency range from the darkest dark to the lightest light, and everything in between. And what we're doing literally within ourselves is we're balancing that darkness. We're learning how to navigate these incredibly difficult broad frequency ranges. And the effect that has on the rest of the universe is like all these other galactic races, like, why do you think they're so interested in us? Like, what's so cool about Earth? I mean, it's beautiful and everything. And why is everyone so interested in our DNA and whether humans upgrade or not, and all these different timelines? It's because we have this, like, when we achieve that balance, or should I say, now we are achieving that balance, because it's been totally skewed towards dark, and it's now shifting back. Those scales are shifting back, gradually back to center. As that happens, it creates this huge resonance wave across the universe. And that has this, like, for all the other planets that either have already ascended or are on their own journeys, it has a rapid, like, balancing effect for them as well. I feel like this is the longest answer to a simple question. No, I'm almost there. And yeah, you're asking, like, are dragons shapeshifters? So I feel like yes, but I have met many beings that are shapeshifters, and what I feel with the dragon energy, and certainly what flows through me in particular, especially when I'm speaking my dragon-like language, is it allows me to extend my frequency range. So let's say, like John, you're talking to just now, I tend to be, as a personality, I feel quite level and quite balanced. But when I want to, like, ignite the fire, and always, like, wear, like, fire, it's green today, but it could be red or orange on my chest, like that fire in my sacral chakra and solar plexus, is when I connect to the dragon energy with my dragon guide and what exists within me, it allows me to dig much deeper into, like, that fire in my belly, and like roar. And I would describe it very much as like flames of love, like a rage of love. And it's very much a self-love. It's like the ignition of like, these are the aspects of me that I want to show the world. I want to show the universe that I love myself, and that I love, like, I feel empowered when I tackle my own darkness, my own lack, my own doubt. Um,
I love that. I feel like we have these emotions inside us, and especially in the spiritual community, we don't let ourselves attach to those, or not attach,
mm,
but witness them and use them. Rage is a very powerful, very strong emotion that actually some good can come of it by releasing, right? And
yeah,
we don't let that sometimes, but I feel like I had an occasion recently to use some rage, and I was like, "What the heck is that?" Like, I remember this from several years ago, but I haven't, I've been on this quest, and I'm like higher self, and not really going there, but witnessing anger, sure, but rage is so powerful and can be quite spiritual.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And there's just this beautiful release. Can I speak some Dragonite language just now?
Please, we would love it. Yeah, it is asking for it.
Yeah, I wanted to just share a quick message, and we could do that before we go into a brief healing. But yeah, I would like to just bring forward my dragon guide. Her name is Muia, and I'd just like to ask her to share a message of love and self-empowerment at this time for all of the mothers in the world and the mothers within all of us. Irneti takamaya takamua arnirundaranta tikia marnirno kotomu iariano.
Wow.
Wow. It took me a few seconds to come back. Thank you.
That was beautiful.
She always ends these transmissions with Muia, and it means for me, and of course it's light language, so you can interpret how it feels right for you. And for me, she's always saying, remember who you are, remember who you are. And that message of empowerment, I feel, is so important for us all, because all these, incredible adventures that we're taking on, and traumas in this lifetime and many lifetimes, it's all for a reason. Like, we're all here for a purpose, each of us with a beautiful, unique purpose. And that remembering who you are, allows you to come back to that power, to your soul's power, and remember why you came here.
Wow. That's amazing. I love that. Yeah. And there is a lot of power on this planet, isn't it? In the range of emotions and the range of frequencies that we can feel. So that makes so much sense. Do you feel like there's more range of like, well, I guess it's all the same thing, isn't it? The crystalline energy. I mean, it feels like it's such a rich planet with energy and frequencies, colors.
Yeah, and dimensions, and all the above. Yeah, I feel like the beauty of the universe, but I also feel some of this is some of it's unique to Earth, is this ability to experience these multi-dimensional, like these bubbles of dimensions that can coexist together. And the way I see those frequency ranges being able to be supported are becoming like they're more and more obvious to you as you raise your frequency, especially if you stay, in the same hometown, city, job. And like, for example, I really loved the people I worked with in my last company. In fact, I hired the teams that I worked around, and I knew them really well, and I was very friendly with them. And it's somewhere between my vibration and the fact that I worked just 3 days a week, they wouldn't see me until I said hello to them. It was just the funniest thing. I'd be walking around the office, I could literally just walk straight into one of them until they were like, they're like, John, I didn't know you were in today. Oh, hi, John. And they're like, am I invisible to you until I literally like engage? And that for me was like that. I'd often been a very like, I was excited, right? Especially latterly. It's like, oh, I've got this big change coming up. And it was like, it was never fear. And if people are stressed around you, you can coexist in the same reality, the same timeline. But, one of you is in a bubble of lower vibration, the other is much higher. And only you can make these connections only like when your cars bump into each other, or you get close to each other, or you talk to each other. And it's almost like, they'll see a different version of you until you connect. And then when you connect, and that version of you might not exist at all, or it might be a lower version of you in terms of frequency until you do interact. And yes, and I've seen in client sessions as well, like it's mainly Lemuria that I see that it never ends. But it did end in the third dimension, and it just became so high that it exists as this bubble of like fifth and sixth upward dimensions just above the Indian Ocean, but it doesn't exist in the 3D reality. Like it left that, it was destroyed there, but it did rise up. And I think that's a really beautiful way of seeing the universe, is that so much coexists all at the same time. And if you just find that right frequency, like you can go there right now. And yeah, and I love that. Like it was so delightful to me to hear that, dimensions aren't just layers, they are bubbles.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because sometimes you can walk down the street and you'll see people and you'll know they're an angel or they're alive, and other people are just looking down, and it's like almost trance walking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel like I've just noticed this recently. Things that we say to each other, some people hear and some people don't. I always acknowledged it with a sense of seeing, or sight, but not really with hearing. And I know that people like, oh, didn't you say that 5 years ago? And I'm like, oh, yeah. but it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It is fascinating. I definitely encourage everyone, including ourselves, right? Especially when we're out and about, we're out in the street, in the city, somewhere busy, somewhere quiet, like try and like make eye contact when it feels safe to do so, and to smile and say hi. Like your energy is so, so powerful, and it has an effect on people. And it's so easy for us to be a bit scared. And this was me until, pretty recently, right? Just a few years ago. I'd be scared around other people. Our realities are created, by us and for us. And so everyone that comes into them, they're like special characters, right? And some play a little bit like they're, part of the AI system, and they're just getting on with their job and they're just doing the thing. But if you actually look at them and talk to them, you'll either get that very brief energetic connection with them, like as you smile as you pass by, or just say hello to them, and it starts to ignite a bit of a spark. I remember someone a year and a half ago passing me in the woods next to my house as I was walking the dog, and all they did was smile at me, and it literally made my week. They had such a beautiful smile. I was in a place where I just felt like, when is this planet going to wake up? It's like, I'm so frustrated right now. And their smile And I don't know who it is. I haven't seen them since, but they were an angel in that moment for me. And all they did was smile. And I feel like when you do so and you just allow your energy to be shared for that moment, you're really that bright, shining, sparkling star in someone else's day in their universe. And you can also trigger the kind of higher self response from someone. So, for instance, if you're in a conversation with someone and you start to lead the conversation a little bit, you would meet someone at their vibration, but just allow the conversation perhaps to go to like their dream holiday or a dream that they had, or maybe if they've had, some more metaphysical experiences, like maybe they've had the tarot card read before, they've seen a ghost or a UFO, or just something to start making them think a little bit bigger. And you can quickly find yourself talking to a very different version of the same person, right? It's like their higher self steps in, it's like, oh, hi, John, how are you? And suddenly like, oh, we've stopped talking about like bills and, holes in the roads and taxes. We're suddenly talking about, our dreams and what we'd love for the future of this planet. And like encouraging those conversations in people is really helpful. But, everyone has total free will choice. They have a free will choice to ignore your smile, to get grumpy and annoyed with you at any time. And that's okay as well, because remember that as we get higher in frequency, sometimes it becomes more jarring for people. One thing I did recently was I finally got brave enough to sing a dragon-like language song in public. And so there's an open mic that they have most Wednesdays here in a little town in Scotland where I live. And I did this song. I've got a few dragon songs recently. This one is the chorus is like hear my roar. So this big roar is like rah, for like ages, and then the chorus is like it's all about feeling. It's all about feeling. It's just like goes over and over. And I did that once, and I just stopped and I looked at the rest of the pub. Now I don't drink. I haven't drunk in years. I don't find it super comfortable being around people drinking alcohol. And they're like, they kind of stopped and they're like staring at me, and they said, "Could you do that again?" And I was like, "Sure." And then afterwards, they're like, "What's that roar song that you do? What's it called? Like, is that like a lion or a dragon or something? And could you do more of those?" And yeah, it's like sometimes you get like a surprising, a bit like the emotion of rage. Like sometimes you just get those really beautiful connections across different frequency ranges, across seemingly unbridgeable dimensions, and you realize maybe this world can work. Maybe we can all work together. We don't all need to be like living in trees. Like some of us will be coexisting with others of us that are choosing lower vibrations, and that's okay. It's a free will universe, right?
Yeah, no judgment. Yeah, and that's the hard one on this planet. No judgment, isn't it? Well, we'd love to do that healing whenever you're ready, and get into that, because that's a really special thing, you guys. And I know a lot of you have been hearing that. Annie Bear says the audio is a little jumpy. So I'll try to speak closer into the mic if that's mine. And let's go ahead and get started.
Great. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's begin by taking in 3 deep breaths into the nose, nice and deep. And breathe out through the mouth what no longer serves our highest good, nice and loud. Breathe in through the nose, nice and deep. And breathe out any low vibration, emotions, or energies. And once more, breathe in through the nose, nice and deep. And breathe out any fear, shame, stress, or anxiety, nice and loud. And continue to breathe deeply and calmly. And prior to today's session, I have set us up a safe space. I have set up a safe space around all those that choose to enter this healing at this time, in the live and in the replay, and only those that have the highest good, love and compassion in their intentions for all. And that all other energies and entities must leave the space immediately. And I'd like to draw your attention now to your heart. And within your heart, to feel at the very center is a beautiful golden divine spark. Feel into this golden light of love energy, for it is the manifestation of your soul connecting into this beautiful human form of yours. And I'd like you, on this special day, on Mother's Day, to remember all those times that you've given so freely, with such beautiful, unconditional love, where you've served over and over and over for your loved ones and others. And I'd like you to see the hearts of all those that you've helped in this lifetime. Imagine seeing them all like little lights, their little divine sparks in the center of their hearts, all the way around the planet, as if the planet was a beautiful, large sphere that you could see straight through, and you could see every single heart that you've touched, that you've helped. And perhaps choose one or two of those loved ones that you've helped and zoom in a little bit further to their hearts, remembering the times that you've helped and served, loved and honored. Perhaps the times that you've birthed or cared for, or all of these moments magically intertwined into one, aggregated into the love that you feel for them at this time. And see that the love that they have for themselves is in part fueled by the love that you showed them, where you helped them wipe away all those tears, the cuts and the bruises, the food on the table, and the times that you're always simply there. Know that you helped them grow their love for themselves, their light, and their hearts. And I'd like to honor you in your servitude to others, and to thank you. And I bring your attention now to Mother Earth, Mother Gaia, the mother of us all, and to her heart at the very center of this planet. And if you choose to join me, extend a light cord from the center of your heart down through the root of your spine, and send it all the way down through the layers of the planet, all the way down, and connect into the core of Mother Earth. And there, send your love to Mother Gaia. And we thank Mother Gaia for all that she's done for us, as we are her children at this time, our bodies, our DNA, everything physical about us is a child of Earth. And on this day, we honor everything that she's done for us and all that she's tolerated of us. And despite our self-destruction and the destruction of other species and the planet, there is hope. There is hope for us all. There's hope for this planet because all of our hearts hold this love within each of us. We all have the capability to serve each other. And where does all this come from? It comes from us. It comes from the center of our hearts. For the center of our hearts are connected into the source of love of this universe, an infinite love that if we choose to accept it, we can choose to fill our own cups, to heal our own wounds, to allow our own love to overflow. And imagine our hearts overflowing and that love overflowing back into Mother Earth and out around the planet to all our brothers and sisters, loved ones, children and elders, to every living thing. And I'd like to do this in practice as I reach up to the highest dimension of source above and bring down a column of golden light down to above the heads of every one of us, just above the crown chakra of everyone watching in live and in the replay, allowing that beautiful golden light, almost like a liquid, this liquid of love, setting the intention as we bring it down into our heart chakras to allow our self-love to fill up our hearts and bring it down through our crown chakras, clearing, healing, and energizing down through our third eye chakras, clearing, healing, and energizing into our throat chakras, clearing, healing, and energizing, and now down into our heart chakras, and allow, just like our hearts are a cup, that beautiful golden light gradually filling up 20, 30, 40%, 50%, all the love that you can take and more, whatever feels right for you to accept for you at this time. Allow that self-love to grow all the way up to the top of your heart chakra and allow your heart chakra to feel full and abundant. For it is your self-love that you are learning to fully receive, a gift that only you can give to yourself, and to allow you to serve others infinitely as you continue to allow this love of source to flow through you infinitely. And you can choose to hold this in your heart for as long as you wish, or you can stop it at any time just by placing your hand on your heart and asking for the energy to slow or to stop. And for as long as you choose it to continue, allow it also to connect in to the solar plexus, into the sacral chakra, into the root chakra, and all the way down through the root chakra, deep through the layers of the planet, and into the core of Mother Earth. Knowing that just like our hearts, Mother Gaia's heart is also connected into Source. And so this perpetual flywheel, this infinity loop of love, this cycle can continue unblocked, freely growing our love within each of our hearts, allowing each of us to help each other whenever we need help. Filling our cups first. And you can continue to hold this in your heart for as long as you wish. And I'd like to thank every soul that's participated in this healing today, and to know that you can come back to this feeling whenever you wish. Thank you. So it is.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
I feel like I was just in a different dimension. and just gradually coming back. But yeah, it was really beautiful. It's a big lesson for me to um, fill my cup first. And yeah, if sometimes it feels selfish or counterintuitive, but I know that I cannot serve if I'm not loving myself. And I came to serve in this planet, and I need to fill my cup first. And it's a big thing for all of us, healing from inside first, and filling ourselves with our own love first.
Thank you. Yeah. It feels like the tribe's been going through a lot of that in the last couple of months, talking about self-care and yeah, and having opportunities. Like if you don't listen, boom, bedtime.
Yeah,
Bed rest
yeah,
anyway. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So
And
peaceful.
there's a lot. It's like everything's happening all at the same time, right? We've got these incredible, like we saw in the northern hemisphere, like the aurora that I unfortunately missed. Like there's huge galactic energies coming through. There's timelines merging. It's the year of the dragon. There's like the list. The list just goes. It's like the list of the things grows longer and longer all the time. And yeah, I would encourage everyone to like. A big thing for me this year has been naps. Like I think I had 2 naps today for about 20 minutes each. Like
Nice.
whenever whatever your thing is that you can do to practice your self love, um, and self love is it's a doing word, right? You can't just say, "Oh, John, I love you." I have to do something for myself, and that's a self care. And yeah, I've learned more about balancing my days and stopping for like longer breaks when I really need to integrate a lot. And I don't know about you, Terry, but when I do sleep now or nap, there's a lot going on really fast and very intense. Um, and
Yeah.
I'm not. I go through periods of being allowed to know what it is, and other periods when I'm not. Um, and sometimes even that's too much. And so another thing you can do as well, especially if you're feeling quite fatigued, or if you're going to a lot of like upgrades, or you've been doing a lot of psychic work, is to just ask your guides to give you a break for the night or more. And you can just say it before you go to bed, like just place your hand on your heart and say, I would like tonight off. Like no missions, no DNA upgrades, don't take me to spirit guides. I don't want to go on any missions or anything, like just to sleep. Just like let me be a human tonight. And that's so helpful because, it's only when we ask these things that they can be acknowledged. And yeah, it's a huge help if you're just needing that rest.
Yeah. I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah. And everybody's saying, yep, lots of dreams, strange dreams. Yeah. So much going on the planet and the universe right now. So
Yeah,
amazing.
it is incredible.
Yeah, I think when we decided to come here, we were so excited about it, and then we got here, and sometimes I'm like, "What was I thinking?" But it is a really good opportunity. It is.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you see all the nonsense going on, and at the same time, all the beauty.
Mm,
So yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. Like all the all the fear, like the continued attempt to escalate fear in the planet is just losing its grip, right? It's like this kind of, I don't know, there's so many different metaphors and analogies I could think of, but the monster that's trying to run up the hill and terrify everyone is just becoming, as I don't mean to sound flippant or dismissive, but its veil is becoming so thin that you can see through so much more. And and whenever we're feeling a bit lost and a bit overwhelmed, and and sometimes we're just frustrated because we're like, I don't know, because the algorithm, I can't say the word, algorithms are ignoring us, or we're trying at our practice and hitting our own blocks. Like, to know that actually a lot of the solutions that we seek are very, very simple. And a lot of what we seek is or almost all of it within us. And that's one of the things I love about my work with people like you, Terry, and other clients, is just to be able to be the person to help hold someone's hand to find themselves back in their heart, find themselves where all their answers are. Like they're all in there just waiting to be asked, first of all, and then the answer will come. And yeah, I feel that there's also so much we can do just in ourselves. Like you mentioned earlier, the free meditations that I offer on my website, the 14-day spirit guide meditation challenge, is the same meditations I do every day. And I thought, well, why not just offer that for free? Because, well, first of all, I don't think you can copyright these things, right? It's just like we all learn these things from lots of different lifetimes, and often from the same sources or source even. So what I love about that is, you can just engage with it and develop whatever gifts and abilities you want with a daily practice. And it's what I did since 2017. And maybe one day you'll just create your own meditations and teach others as well. Like you can just go on and do all this yourself, and you don't need to wait for either someone like me. I mean, you can, and I'd love to work with you, but you can also go on and do these things yourself. And sometimes they take longer, but yeah, never be afraid to ask for help, or just keep going on your practice until you find the right time to engage with others.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're finding that so many in our meditation group here have gone on and started their own channels, or healers or whatever, doing something in their community. But it's really beautiful. I wanted to mention, I pulled up your website, jonbinnie.com, and also you now have an app, Jon Binnie, and you can go to that. I've got everything listed in the description, you guys. Also, you have Instagram, which we're friends on Instagram, and I think you also have. Do you have Twitter too, or what do you have? TikTok?
Yeah, I post every day on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Okay, yeah, and YouTube. So there's always something, and I love that because it's like a highlight of my day, and it's not a long, intensive thing. It's like, oh, I can get a Jon Binnie fix, yay! Go on, whatever you're doing. But
that's kind.
It's a real joy. It's a real joy. Well, thank you so much for being here. What a joy to have you always. And please come back and go to Jon's website, though you are right at 2,222 right now. So
that's right. That was so magical. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for everyone that subscribed. And thank you for having me on, Terry. It's such an honor. And yeah, your growth is incredible, and it was just such an honor having you both on the training and the membership group. I'm also excited to run. So that was the Higher Self Foundation training we spoke about. That next runs on the 7th of July. I remember the date. So it runs again then. It's an 8-week program, and yet it goes from everything from you've never meditated in your life at the start. So we do like mindfulness meditations and spirit guide meditations, a bit similar to what we did today, all the way through to meeting your spirit guides and even talking light language at the end of it. And then there's a new training course coming up called the, wait for it, intermediate training. And that starts on the 29th of July. And so that's another 8-week program. It is teaching everything I know. Everything.
I have to say that's on my birthday.
Wow. Happy birthday for them.
I think I'm so...
Well, that's so cool. I can get you a birthday discount for sure. That's fantastic. Wow, what a coincidence. No such thing as coincidences, right?
Right.
But yeah, that's just gonna, it's gonna cover everything. And so yeah, we'll do like, the stuff that more advanced stuff that we didn't cover in the foundational, and that takes a bit more of a journey. So really you're meant to do each of these training courses in sequence. Um, and we'll go on to do things like working with the planet's grid. We'll do soul retrievals, a little bit about how to run sessions for clients. Anything that you've seen me or heard me do, it'll be taught. And then don't ask me what's in the advanced training course. I haven't written that yet, but I do know that literally I'll be channeling a lot of it. And I have written that my very first training course, the 7 chakra training course, was all entirely channeled. And it was like I guess it was like a proving ground for me to realize, like, you can do it. Like, you can create things that you just don't know how to create. It takes some practice and a lot of grounding. So I don't know if I'll be actually developing the advanced one this year, or running it this year, but I'll certainly be starting the development later this year. So yeah, take a look. They're all on the homepage. You just scroll down and you'll see the membership group we mentioned, Higher Self Foundation Training, and the intermediate training as well.
Yeah. I think it's in the description here too.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for being here and coming, and especially all you beautiful moderators that came and kept us safe. So we sure appreciate you. Yeah. Much love, everybody.
Thank you.
And thanks, Jon.